thousands or even millions, Madam Speaker, it's sad that even some church leaders have ridiculed some of us, saying that we contribute, amounts that cannot even buy some tobacco, Madam Speaker. And so, Madam Speaker, I think this is something that Kenyans have been watching slowly but surely and have not been very happy about, Madam Speaker. And this is something that we should all condemn. Let people, if they have to contribute their hard-earned cash, Madam Speaker, because this points to corruption. Otherwise, we know how much people are paid and how much they contribute in these RBAs, Madam Speaker. And this is something that we need to talk about. Madam Speaker, there have been very many things that have been happening in our society. I have a background of education, Madam Speaker, and I can tell you there are things that we have done in this country that should not be done, including taking some public institutions of learning and kind of privatizing them, Madam Speaker. And allow me to mention one or two. Madam Speaker, we have a school called Hospital Hill Primary School. This is a public school, but that has been privatized. Nairobi Primary School, Madam Speaker. There is a school called Tigoni Primary School in Kiambu. These are public schools, but which people, the middle class and people who are well-to-do, have taken and, introduced some rules, some, arrangements through the PTA, Madam Speaker, and kind of privatize these schools, where it is very hard for ordinary mortals, Madam Speaker, to gain admittance to that school, to those schools for their children. And all this time, our people have been watching, that I cannot be able to take my child to Nairobi Primary School because there are charges, illegal charges, Madam Speaker. And people have this has been building up. Madam Speaker, corruption is also something that has made people to build up some anger and, dissatisfaction against government and leadership, Madam Speaker. And recently, there was a young man, Madam Speaker, I know this is a subject of a court case, but I'm not going to discuss the merits or demerits of the same. But Madam Speaker, a young man, it was unfortunate, but a young man felt that he could not, according to his claim, he could not be able to raise the bribe that a police officer was asking, Madam Speaker. And the young man ended up beating up that police officer, Madam Speaker. I do not want to stand here and say that that was right. But, Madam Speaker, you can imagine that it was out of frustration that a police officer is demanding amounts of money from a young man that cannot afford such amounts of money. And, Madam Speaker, some police stations have even been able to upscale corruption. And I want to cite Kasarani police station, Madam Speaker. This is a police station where you will find tens of police officers along the road, Madam Speaker. And what do? They do not want to take the usual 50 or 10 or 100 Kenya shillings, Madam Speaker. So they will just order you to drive your vehicle into the police station where they will demand for a big amount of money as bribe, Madam Speaker, before you are released. And, Madam Speaker, we must call this out. This is why we are where we are, because those that cannot afford these amounts of money, Madam Speaker, are always at a disadvantage. What does our judiciary do? In aiding, in solving or helping resolve these matters of corruption, Madam Speaker, the processes are lengthy. Somebody that has been accused, Madam Speaker, of corruption will take ages before their cases are heard and determined. And of course, they are going to buy their way. They are going to compromise even investigations made, Madam Speaker, because